It's that time of year again when we watch that Muppet movie about Ebenezer. Well, actually, I don't want to talk about that Ebenezer right now. I want to talk to you about the Ebenezer Clinic in Paraguay. I'm Jen Finelli, a physician and purveyor of real-life superheroes, and I first heard about Dr. Marcelo Miño through the grapevine years ago when I was doing some health education in one of the outskirts of Luque, Paraguay. I had found a family where the mother was taking care of her brother and her husband, and the husband was paraplegic and the brother had severe Down syndrome. And I was listening to the brother's heart. He was about 40 years old, and I heard the most horrible murmur, and I was so concerned because she couldn't take him to go see a doctor because she couldn't leave her known paraplegic husband alone in an area where somebody could easily come into the house and beat him up or harm him in order to take any stuff that they might have in their small little one-room place. I took my worry about this poor lady and her complete inability to access healthcare because of transportation and her housing situation to a local pastor, and he mentioned Dr. Miño. Over the years, I heard other little bits and pieces about Dr. Miño. I remember being exceptionally jealous because at a time when I was losing the battle to an invisible illness that can't even kill you, this guy was apparently working 3 jobs while actually living my decades-long dream of an indigent clinic serving the needy. It took a trip to Paraguay to hear that, of course, behind every high-energy hero with Bruce Wayne-level schedule management and endless drive that defies scientific evidence for the need for sleep, behind every one of those, there's an origin story. Now, this isn't an origin story video. Through my last visit, though, I heard snippets of tales about radical change in a young man's life and of grief now with family members lost, but this isn't mine to tell. What is mine to tell is the way Miño has leveraged community need to deal with the tragedy of the commons that so often befalls free clinics. In some models I've seen, because patients don't pay for care, a paternalistic dependency develops that takes ownership of health choices away from patients and gives it to the physician. This harms patient compliance with care, and it overtaxes physicians. And in the very rare case that physicians are not overtaxed in a lot of these free models, physicians may provide a lower level of care because, quote-unquote, it's good enough because it's free anyway. The psychology of the relationship between the patient and the physician in models makes a big difference in patient outcomes because it affects patient compliance. This patient-physician psychology also makes a huge difference in systems where it's the insurance company that pays the physician, not the patient, and therefore, in order to feed their family, the physician's priority has to be how good their note is for a model like Medicare, not how good the patient care or patient outcomes are. Dr. Miño addresses this psychology in a very clever way. It's long been his dream to operate a clinic that actually helps the needy with good outcomes, without charging exorbitant fees. So rather than charging any fees, Miño collects donations of food from patients that are then given to the local church to distribute through their food pantry. This small token payment serves a valuable psychological purpose because it makes the psychological switch that, hey, I own my body, in the mind of the patient. We value what we pay for. You are a valuable paying patient, even if you can't afford healthcare. This also means that by coming to get taken care of, the patients are also taking care of others. Does this make sense? Can you see how this small choice puts a huge amount of agency in the hands of the patients, making them into small heroes in their own lives and community through self-care? Dr. Miño is a cardiologist. In Paraguay, according to the World Health Organization, 50% of female and 75% of male deaths occur from ischemic heart disease. When I got a chance to observe Dr. Miño's clinic at work, I heard multiple patients tell him how the newest medication he'd given them had changed their lives. Dr. Miño switches most of his patients to the newest telmisartan for blood pressure, something I'd heard of previously in bits and pieces, but wasn't readily available to my patient population in the hospital I used to work without special red tape because of insurance and bureaucratic requirements. But Dr. Miño uses his position as a well-known cardiologist to collect the newest medication samples brought to him by drug companies and dispense them for free to his patients. Dr. Miño's clinic may not be large, but I think this example of ingenuity and agency is a powerful reminder for the healthcare discussion on a national level, especially in a country with an overloaded public health system alongside its private partner. I have a big imagination, but I wonder, can a food distribution model work like this on a larger scale? Is there a future for Paraguayan innovators on a large scale to create new logistics systems that break away from the public and private models of European and North American healthcare? Internationally, when we talk about countries like Paraguay, health charities can be the most imperialistic organizations with a lot of pressure to obey European and North American ideological agendas. The Borgen Institute's page on Paraguay is rife with imperialistic language that compares everything in Paraguay to the United States and tries to make U.S. health expenditures, beliefs, and systems the standard for good health care, when in fact America's high cost of care, extremist abortion politics, and disjointed system of insurance/government middlemen clearly does not mesh with Paraguay's freedom-loving yet family-centered culture. Paraguay does have problems, like an infant mortality rate that kills almost 1 in 6 babies. The government is still struggling to staff rural areas with physicians, and 14% of women die from cervical cancer, which is extremely preventable. But in 2018, Paraguay managed to rid their entire country of malaria without the advantage of DDT like North America was able to do, like a cheat code to eliminate our malaria. I know a guy who grew up living in boxes by the street in Paraguay who's got access right now to chiropractic care, the newest external pain medications, while patients in my home country are still reeling from the opioid crisis. Even when it comes to animal health care, it's typical for the veterinarian to actually make visits at your house, even if you're not wealthy. And as far as your own health record access, I had multiple friends actually bring their x-ray images to me in their purse, which they have easy access to, which made me laugh because in my home country, I had to wait a month just to get copies of my readings, not even my actual images, which I have no access to, as a patient in the United States. Paraguay is also one of the only nations to maintain enough of its indigenous population that the majority of Paraguayans speak at least some Guarani, and faithfulness to that Guarani heritage means we also still have access to some of the wealth of herbal and Amazon plant knowledge that those peoples held. We've all heard that the next big cancer cure could be in the Amazon jungle. If it is, maybe we need to start by understanding these indigenous plant libraries. So Paraguay has a significant health disparity between who can and cannot access this excellent, very modern care. But the way forward for Paraguay, I don't think it's to copy what's already been done, but to create its own systems that fit the needs of Paraguayan people and Paraguayan heritage. And I think it starts by taking a look at what small, innovative clinics are doing, like Dr. Munoz.